Hi everyone, Sandra Duran Wilson here, and thanks for joining me this week for Mixed Media Soul Sparks. This week, I want to talk to you about some of my favorite tools and how we might find tools or create our own tools. It's always something I'm looking to do, but how to get the paint to move, how to create line, how to create texture, layers. It's all about tools. And I just want to say my favorite tool is my hands. I use my hands a lot, and that's why you'll see me always wearing gloves when I'm working, because you've got to be careful even with acrylic paint, because over time it can actually get into your system through your skin. So either wear gloves or use, this is called Gloves in a Bottle. It's a barrier cream. They've got different brands. So protect your skin. I know over the years I've actually gotten to where I get a reaction to the paint, so that's why I have to wear the gloves. But some of my favorite tools are very simple things. This palette knife, just a plastic palette knife, is probably, after my hands, is the thing I use the most. Now you can get metal ones. I like this. It's called a trowel shape or an offset handle, because it makes it great for when you're trying to spread something that it's not flat, so you're not getting your hand in it. You can get them in different sizes, different shapes. This particular shape happens to be my favorite. Other things like the plastic I take off of panels. Even plastic wrap is good, but this plastic is thicker. So when I use it to create a line in the painting, it's going to give me a very different line than, say, just the plastic wrap. So I like to reuse, repurpose, recycle whatever I can. Now, think about brushes. Let's take a look at brushes here. Let me get this stuff out of the way. So I tend to use mostly flat brushes like this, or an angled brush like this one. And so these are some different shapes. Like here with the flat brush, you can get this nice flat shape. This is a nylon synthetic Taklon brush. They're very, very soft. I prefer them over a bristle brush because you get fewer brush strokes. Now the angle brush, you can get these nice curves with an angle brush. It's also great for cutting into textures if you're trying to cut in next to something. The angle brush is good. This is a wash brush. As you can see, it will hold a lot of paint. They're mostly for watercolor artists. However, if you're using a really thin paint, it's going to pick up and cover a big area. And the fan brush is another one of my favorite tools. This one here's different sizes you can get, and they're great for making splatters. So like if you're picking up paint and then you take it and you tap it like that, you can get an assortment of dots or splatters. If you work with the viscosity of your paint, you're going to get different size splatters. Also different thicknesses. This is a bristle brush, and it's like a hog hair. It's actually a bristle. And this brush is a silicone one, and it's actually got on the tips where I can't remember what they put on it, but it'll hold more paint. So it's a really good one for making splatters. The other thing it's great for is blending. You can actually get some very nice blending with it. And next week we'll be demonstrating how to blend with these tools. One of the major things I see people doing, they might be working on a 12 by 12 or larger canvas, and they're using a brush this size to try and cover the whole thing. Grab yourself a big brush. Save yourself a lot of time. You're also going to get fewer brush strokes because you're not going to be doing this. So when you use a bigger brush, you're going to get different marks. You're going to get a different range of how you're applying your paint. And, you know, obviously you're not going to want to use this on like a little tiny painting, but even if you're working on a 12 by 12 or a 16 by 20 and you're using it, get your whole body into it. You know, where something little like this, you're kind of like standing in tight. Use your body when you're using a bigger brush, and you're going to find a more expressive mark. Dabbers. I love foam dabbers. Foam dabbers, even foam brushes like this. You can take your scissors and you can cut little notches in these and create a whole different pattern. You can buy rollers that actually have those patterns in them. Small little rollers. I found these in the kids section. They're a lot of fun. And rollers or brayers. Get some of these out of the way. Oops. This one is a hard roller, so it's not going to give you the same kind of look of paint when you're spreading it. This one is softer. So we'll play with these next week. It's a great way to apply paints in a very different manner than you'll get with a brush or a knife. So rollers or brayers are great tools. Silicone tools are some of my favorite tools to paint with. This is a large one. You can get them as small as this, and they're great for detail shape. You can see by the handles of these things that I use them a lot. However, the paint does not stick to the silicone. They're great for spreading paint, removing paint. So as we explored last week and the angle, how you hold your tool, if you want to remove a lot of paint, you hold it at a high angle like this. If you want to spread it, you hold it at a low angle. And I'll have links to find some of these tools. Here's the other big knife. Little things like skewers. This one is, you know, just a bamboo skewer. It's got a pointy end and a more rounded end. I love to use these for removing paint. You can actually apply paint with them too. Wooden skewer, or what do you call these little things? Popsicle sticks. They're great. Pipettes. These are fun because you can pick up like a very thin paint or ink and then drop it onto your surface. Straws. You know, we don't use straws anymore, but if you have some, then you can use that to blow the paint around. You know, if you're, you know, after your lunch, you've got that, you've got your plastic fork, another great tool for mark making. This is another, let me put these over here. This is another silicone tool, but look at how it's split like that. And it's also got a rounded edge and a hard edge. So depending on how you use this tool, you can get different marks with it. And I'll be showing you that next week. More foam things. This is a very invaluable tool for me. It's a vice grip, and it can get everything, all of my jars open that I can't open anymore. So you see it's adjustable. I can go all the way up to a big jar. And here's another little tip. Alcohol, besides using it in my painting, if you've got, let's just pretend this is a jar of paint, and it's stuck down in here, you can take and spray a little bit of alcohol down into there, give it a moment, and then, you know, either with your hands or with your vice grip, it'll easily open. I've gotten things open using that method that I had tried forever. So a little bit of alcohol on your acrylic gels. Now, plastic wrap is a great thing to put over a jar lid, so it'll prevent that. Don't put petroleum jelly on the lid. I've seen some people do that, but it can actually contaminate your product. So alcohol and vice grips. The other tool I love to use are cosmetic sponges. They're great for getting a airbrush effect. They're great for kind of dabbing like that. and I'll show you that next week as well. Dental tools. My dentist had some old ones left over, and that were old, and they're great for scribing. This is just a little wood graining tool, another great mark making tool. Another very important tool for me, deli sheets, and they're great for moving paint or for even blotting paint off. And these work better than tissue paper because these will hold up. They've got what they call dry wax in them. You can see this one. I've used this one for blotting paint off, and then they can become their own beautiful collage papers. Another very important tool for me to have is just an extra piece of paper. I had used this one in a demo, and I keep it around so when I'm going to clean my brush off, I've now got about 6 layers of paint on here. I call these like the accidental masterpiece because you never know, you might end up with an area of the paper that looks really great. So have those around. Any kind of found packing materials, foam, these make great stamps. These are interesting because you can actually apply paste or remove paint. And let's see, I think that kind of brings us to the last two. Key cards, if you don't have the silicone tools, these work great. Old credit cards, they're wonderful. You can keep reusing them, just wipe them off. Now, if you want something like that, but you want it bigger, this is one of my favorite tools. I've even made really large ones. And if you can't guess what this is, it's like a vertical blind. So those are the really kind of ugly things that hang. You open and close your blinds like this. You can find them at the big box stores. But they have a slight curve to them, and they've got a rounded edge. So they make really good tools for moving your paint, for removing it, or for spreading it. And I've made one that's 3 feet, and I've adhered it to a yardstick, and then use that for moving paints. So those are some of my favorite tools. And join me next week where I'm going to show you how to use a lot of these tools in blending. So thanks again. I'm going to have notes for you with some links of where you might find some of these more unusual tools. See you next week. Join the Creative Awakening community on Facebook, where you'll be able to post your art, connect with other creatives around the world, and ask questions. Use the hashtag MixedMediaSoulSparks when posting your work on social media. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week.